World War II, a time of great conflict and change, started not with a bang, but a sneeze. Yes, you heard that right. A sneeze. It seems almost comical, but the first British soldier to lose his life in the war did so due to the sound of a German sneeze. Private Thomas Priday, a mere 21 years old, was on patrol near the German border when he heard a sneeze from a nearby bush. Thinking it was one of his comrades, Priday approached only to be shot by a concealed German soldier. This was not a grand battle or a strategic strike, but a simple, everyday reflex that marked the beginning of Britain's involvement in one of history's most devastating wars. It was an unexpected start to a conflict that would change the world forever. And so, with a single sneeze, the war had begun for Britain. But the war was not only fought on the battlefield. In Russia, it was fought in a city that didn't exist. Imagine living in a place so secretive, so pivotal to war efforts, it was wiped off the map and erased from existence. This was the reality for the residents of Arzamas-16, a clandestine city nestled in the heart of Russia. Arzamas-16 was a hive of scientific innovation, a breeding ground for advancements in nuclear research. Its existence was shrouded in mystery, its location known only to a select few. The city's inhabitants lived under a cloak of secrecy, their daily lives intertwined with the development of a weapon that could end the war, or ignite an even greater conflict. Despite the harsh living conditions and the weight of the world's fate on their shoulders, the people of Arzamas-16 contributed significantly to the Soviet nuclear program, their work shaping the course of the war, and the world as we know it. In the heart of Russia, a city that didn't exist played a vital role in the war. Sometimes in war, allies come from the most unlikely places. An intriguing example of this is the unexpected alliance formed between the United States government and the Mafia during the Second World War. Yes, you heard it right, the Mafia. As the war raged on, Italian-American communities were left devastated and vulnerable. This is where the Mafia, a criminal organization often associated with violence and crime, stepped in. They provided a semblance of order and protection in these troubled neighborhoods, forging a strange but necessary relationship with the American government. But the alliance didn't stop at the home front. The Mafia's influence extended across the Atlantic to the very heart of the conflict. The US government, recognizing the Mafia's extensive network and influence in Italy, saw an opportunity. They enlisted the help of the Mafia to facilitate the invasion of Sicily. Sicily was a strategic location, a stepping stone to the heart of Axis territory. But invading it was no small task. The Mafia, with its deep roots in the local communities and intimate knowledge of the terrain, was in a unique position to aid the American forces. They provided valuable intelligence, helped identify friendly locals, and even assisted in sabotage operations against the Axis forces. It was a controversial decision to say the least. The US government was effectively in alliance with a criminal organization, but desperate times called for desperate measures. And in the heat of war, traditional notions of right and wrong can become blurred. The alliance with the Mafia was a strategic move, one that arguably helped tip the balance of power in favor of the Allies. In the end, it was a matter of pragmatism. The US government needed all the help it could get, and the Mafia was willing to provide it. It was a partnership born out of necessity, a testament to the complex and often murky realities of war. In a time of war, the line between law and crime can blur, creating unlikely alliances. But the war also had its dark secrets, secrets that have been overshadowed by the enormity of the Holocaust. In the heart of the Second World War, a lesser-known tragedy unfolded, one that is often overlooked in our retelling of the period. This is the story of the Porajmos, also known as the Romani Holocaust. The Romani people, an ethnic group primarily residing in Europe, were targeted by the Nazis for extermination. This too was a calculated act of genocide, a brutal campaign against an innocent people. The Nazis deemed the Romani as racially impure, a belief rooted in the deeply entrenched prejudices of the time. This irrational hatred led to the systematic and brutal extermination of hundreds of thousands of Romani people. The Porajmos was a horrifying mirror of the Jewish Holocaust. Romani men, women and children were rounded up, transported to concentration camps, and subjected to the most horrendous atrocities. They were starved, tortured, used as subjects for medical experiments, and ultimately murdered in cold blood. And yet, the Porajmos is often a footnote in the annals of World War II history. The voices of the Romani victims, like their lives, were silenced, their stories buried under the weight of the larger narrative. It's a stark reminder that history often forgets those who do not have the power to write it. Even today, the Romani Holocaust is not widely recognized. The suffering and loss of the Romani people are frequently overlooked, their genocide not given the same attention or acknowledgement as the Jewish Holocaust. This is, in part, due to the ongoing discrimination and marginalization that the Romani people face even in the present day. In the end, we must remember that the Holocaust was not the only genocide that occurred during the Second World War. We must recognize the Porajmos, the Romani Holocaust, for what it was, a devastating act of hatred and inhumanity. In the shadows of the Holocaust, another genocide unfolded, largely forgotten by history. World War II was a time of great darkness and unexpected turns. As we've journeyed through the lesser-known stories and facts, we've encountered some truly shocking revelations. Who could imagine that a simple sneeze would be the spark that ignited Britain's involvement in the war? Then there's the hidden city of Arzama 16. In the midst of global conflict, Russia managed to construct a secret city, a feat that boggles the mind even today. And let's not forget the unlikely alliance when the United States found itself in bed with the mafia, an alliance as surprising as it was necessary in the face of a common enemy. Our journey took us to the chilling tale of the forgotten Romani Holocaust, a grim reminder of the atrocities that extended far beyond what we typically acknowledge. These lesser-known stories remind us that history is often more complex and surprising than we might think.